Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's a nice little Sunday morning over here from Chicago, Illinois. Once again, temperature's been turned all the way down, but you know what? Early mornings for myself are very much welcomed in this nice cold tundra. So with that said, there's actually a lot to be talking about on the lower time frames on Bitcoin right now. There actually is a little bit of a more obvious trade showing us right in the face. For the first time that felt like in the last week, essentially, mostly just been sideways. But there are a few signals in the lower time frames. But of course, because it is a Sunday and because mostly the higher time frame picture has been unchanged, we're going to be focusing on long-term analysis during this video. Anyways, I do want to follow up with yesterday talking about the app. I don't want to go into too much detail about it because it seems to just cause perhaps a little bit of confusion, maybe because I don't do the best job of explaining it myself. But for now, the only things that I really want to speak about with regards to the app is we're aiming for a November 1st launch. It's going to be just web-based at first. And for anyone who's already in any one of the programs, the technical analysis program, the options program, or the Jewel program, you will also gain access into the app for that program, essentially. So you'll be grandfathered in. You won't have to pay extra to get access to the app or anything like that. No, it's just going to be there for you. And then the base program of the app, to be 100% clear, is actually free. So all of the free materials, like all the data centers and whatnot, are going to be just included there for anyone to use. Anyways, on top of that, I think that's as much as that I should say. Of course, the Jewel itself, we will be switching it from a lifetime access to a monthly subscription once the app comes out. But until the app comes out, well, it's still lifetime, I suppose. So about another two and a half weeks or whatever it is. We're on the 13th day of October right now. So yeah, just about 2 more weeks it looks like to me. And then we'll switch that one over, that one onwards and over. And of course, on top of that, if you did buy the Jewel before that November 1st date, you'll again get access on the app and you'll retain your lifetime access. Anyways, Jesus Christ, man. Oh man, never thought that I'd have to explain that. But at the end of the day, I think it's probably because I don't have the best communication styles. Anyways, I want to get into some Bitcoin price action analysis right now because we are starting to see some signals being shown around on the lower time frames. So with that said, I would like to wish you the best, also the happiest. Oh, and also, if you have a favorite phone, if you have a Galaxy S10 or if you have an iPhone 11 Pro or whatever the fuck it is, let me know your thoughts on it. I'm very, very curious, man. I'm actually in the market for a new phone right now, and that could be. I would love to hear your opinions on it. Anyways, as always, I would like to wish you the best on this nice little Sunday morning and the happiest as well. My God, man, can't forget both sides. And let's get in a live stream right here, right now. Let's zoom on in. Bitcoin on the daily, on the 24-hour, as I like to have it right here. The reason why I actually have a 24-hour, just for the people who have been asking, is not for any other reason than I can see the time till close right here. Of course, you can also just know that it's 8 p.m. Eastern time, but fair enough. It helps me being a visual person. Anyways, looking at the daily, we have done something interesting. And I want to touch on something that a lot of people have been alluding to that I've seen around these spheres for Bitcoin, and kind of talk about why, some validity to it and also some counterpoints to it. Anyways, a lot of people right now are looking at a 4-hour dollar time frame for Bitcoin and saying this looks like accumulation right here, and it looks like accumulation because it's basically a fractal of what we saw in December, January, February, right, when Bitcoin was in this area right here. Which, is there some similarities with this? Well, is there some similarities with it? I would have to say, no, not really. I'm not really sure where these people are getting this from. Yes, could this be accounted for as Wyckoff accumulation on the lows? You could make the argument for that, but the second that we break down below this area right here to about 82.50, we'll call it, that goes out the window. Anyways, for right now, if you are looking at a 4-hour and you are looking at it, from that lens, understand that Wyckoff is really supposed to be, documented over a daily or a weekly schedule, not like a fucking 4-hour. And also, for the people who are saying that this is, having an uncanny resemblance to what we did in December, January, February right here. I can understand why people are saying that, but I also can't understand why people are saying that when we quite literally have a very obvious higher high above anything else that we've done during this whole consolidation, coming in just from this past week on the 9th and 10th right here. And if you can see right on over in the last segment that everyone's kind of referring to, nothing of the sort. In fact, you can see that Bitcoin did not make any sort of higher highs above this first initial dump, sort of segments right here. We could just take all three of these, but again, nothing got higher than these 3 pair of highs right here until we were actually ready to blast onwards and upwards in April. beginning of April 1st right here. So again, I don't really see even structurally that being relevant, and more importantly, I don't really care about fractals in general. Are just very, very misleading in my opinion. If we can see something with regards to like the momentum oscillators on top of that, or moving averages, or just something that gives us a more, more documentable, more tangible way of kind of relating these two things together, then that I do think holds weight. But even there, we don't really have the same sort of setup. Of course, we go over here to a daily, because I do want to kind of standardize it for a daily. You can see that we're completely different posturing from all the major moving averages right here than we were in December, January, February. All major moving averages were splayed out and trending, coming in from the $6,000 drop right here. Whereas right now, we're actually just starting to see them switch over like right now. As you can see over here, we had all lower periods trading below higher periods. Over here, we don't really have that. I mean, we're kind of switching around, but they're all basically converging on this 8650-ish pivot right here. So I'm going to stick with what I've been saying for the past week and a half, or whatever, whenever we got in this region below like 8 or below like 9,000, as long as Bitcoin's below 8650, where all these major moving averages converge, that's the 200 exponential moving average, that's 200 simple, and yellow 21 exponential moving average right here. I don't really see any reason to be, optimistic about price action, looking for it to come back into the $9,000 region. Now, that also does mean that if we get back above that region and close there on a preferably a daily closing basis, although I do think, maybe like a 12-hour would probably be good enough as well. Very, 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 very likely that we work our way up into like the lower 9,000s, maybe 93, 9,400. But for right now, you can see that these moving averages are rejecting price action, and we actually do have negative slopes on all of the exponentials. And of course, the 200 simple, this white moving average right here, it does not have a negative slope, but that's, it's going to take some time. But overall, not a good setup. And of course, we put on the simple moving average, which I have not looked at in quite some time, or at least, well, I've looked at them, of course, but I didn't really show them on stream for quite some time, just because, well, they were mostly unchanged from here. Remember when they all got a negative slope right here, that was basically the time to be bearish, essentially. And right now we are still having that same negative slope the whole way through, except for the red 10 symbol, which has kind of caught price action. So I would say that on the lower time frames, to kind of juxtapose what I was just saying on the medium and higher time frames, you actually could be bullish as long as we're above the red 10 symbol right here for like a ranging behavior. Again, I'm not like calling a massive move up to like 87 or 8,800. No, this would just be the top side of the range, which I do think is actually quite likely, and that's the trade that I was alluding to at the beginning of this video right here. It does look to me like Bitcoin's turning back up and wants to test around 8,600, give or take about $50, something like that on the lower time frame. So for my current posturing, that's a couple $100 trade. Fair enough, tradable for sure. And we do see momentum oscillators agreeing with that. So we see 4-hour Stokes pointed up, and we see 3-hour Stokes already up there. We see 2-hour Stokes up, and we see hourly Stokes, I believe, actually crossing down right now. But to me, it does, it does look like we want to test back around that region first and foremost before anything else. Now, of course, could I be wrong on this? Yes, this is lower time frame type stuff. I'm not taking this trade myself. I have no intention to take any trades on a time frame like this right now when Bitcoin's, winding up on the higher time frames. Jesus Christ. I'm seeing there's messages on TradingView now. If you want to contact with me, the best thing to do is just contact me on Discord, because it's very easy for me to get to. And when you contact me on like Gmail, like my personal email, first off, it's like not really supposed to be used for that. It's kind of personal, and it's just really difficult for me to follow up anyways. And on TradingView, it's like even more so difficult to follow up because I don't like have any sort of tether to it. So if you do really need to contact me, do it through Discord. Don't do it through those venues, because there's a strong possibility I won't even see it, and also it just makes it more difficult. Anyways, so yeah, all lower time frame oscillators kind of agreeing with each other right now, and you could say that I'm essentially biased on the very, very low time frames to pop back up to about 86, as long as we remain above this little pivot right here at about 8,300. So it's not really like a good risk reward right now, because we're already $100 off this pivot. If I throw on the drawing tools, we can throw on a horizontal right here. There we go, beautiful. And I'll just be referring to this guy right here. You can see we have a more interim level that we actually just brushed up against right here at the 382 Fibonacci retracement. If you're looking at this as a bearish retracement on Fib from the drop from what was it, 10.3 down to our current low. So likely to push back price action, but I don't really put that much weight on it. Only on the bigger Fib numbers, which would be the 0.5, the 618, and basically those two on a time frame like this. And guess where they line up with the 0.5 coming in at our last little prior high. So that's kind of where I'm getting the target from. So 8,600 to about 8,650 perhaps. And then if we get above there, I would target a move all the way towards 8,900. And to me, we'd very, very likely, probably have a short-term pullback there, but likely a continuation overall into this blue box territory right here, longer term, like more medium term. So again, make no mistake about it though. I'm not looking for anything above this blue box territory because, let me explain. This blue box territory right here is extremely important. It's the 8650-ish level. Remember that the area where all those major moving averages come in and converge on each other, and kind of where I have to be, where I kind of like cut the line. And as long as we're below it, I'm going to be biased to the downside, even though on the very, very low time frames, which they switch around all the fucking time, it looks a little bit more up right now. But as we could pop back up here where that kind of target would be right around about 8,600 and still reject from these guys and fell at the downside of the range. Now, just because Bitcoin's below 8650 and that does bias me to the downside, am I like automatically trading for the next big massive leg down? No, not really. For me, I have to see the blue 3/7 exponential moving average broken to the downside right here. So we're kind of caught, we're obviously in a trading range right now, right? And you could even just be as simple as neutral within this region. And in fact, I'd rather just be using options within a region like this because, well, then I can be essentially direction neutral. But still profit off just the lack of movement in general here, just a sideways action. But essentially 8650 the upside, and I'd be looking for another $600 to $800 extension into the low 9,000s. And if and for the downside, we have to actually close below about 7,800 or about 7,850 we'll call it, 7,850 we'll call it, maybe even 7,900 would probably do it. It's all in the same region really. And then I'd be looking for a move actually much significantly lower, down towards the $7,000 region, probably upper 6,000s, denoted here by this measured move actually, which is still very much valid from the descending triangle, symmetrical triangle, whatever the fuck you want to call it, from the last 3 months, July, August, and September. So that measure move is actually still very much valid, pointed all the way down here towards about 6,800. That would be in line with the 236 Fibonacci retracement as well, which is likely going to be a bought-in algo target, after breaking the 382, especially on a structural, on a pattern break as well. So I do like the confluences there. And then not only that, but within that region, within that like $7,000 region, we do see the Cyan 89 exponential moving average kind of coming in right around that region, low 7,000, as you can see, which, historically speaking, hasn't been all that. I mean, we do get a few tests down to it in past prior bull markets, but it would just be another kind of obvious area that I would be looking for a massive bounce at. And if we take that one step further and we throw on the volume profile, you'll notice very, very quickly that we have a nice high value node sitting right at the upper 6,000 territory right here, which about 6,800 it looks like. So I would kind of create a zone between about 68 to 71 if we do take that next leg down, and that's where essentially I'd be looking for. And I'd be looking for a big bounce there, potential reversal as well, but reversal talks obviously have to be met with something else. We have to see first we have to see fucking uptrend form from there. So we're very, very far away from anything like that even being of discussion. For right now, on the weekly, you can see that we are being held by the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which I do not like at all, and that's coming in right around $9,000. And just historically speaking, Bitcoin. Why do we say we is the real question? It's Bitcoin. I'm not doing shit. I'm watching Bitcoin. I haven't done shit. But what are we seeing here? So there's a couple things that I want to point off to. First and foremost, the yellow 20 exponential moving average. There it goes again, man. It's like I can't even separate myself from Bitcoin. I love it too much. No, my point is, Bitcoin loves to play off the 21 exponential moving average on these bullish dumps in its bullish markets, and in bearish markets likes to kind of reject off that region and kind of put in its highs around that, again, the yellow 21 exponential moving average right here. We broke that 2 weeks ago, and we've actually both opened and closed below the 21, and this week we've come back and retested it, and thus far rejected from it on that test back up to like 8,800, I believe it was. So I do believe that it's not appropriate to be like medium or long-term bullish as long as we are below the 9,000 region. Yes, that is higher than the 8650-ish region that I pointed out earlier, but I do believe that if 8650 gets taken out on a daily total closing basis, we will very likely follow through and take out the 21 as well to the upside and probably find our way back into like the lower 10,000s actually. But here's the thing. I'm actually not really looking for that to happen. I am biased to the downside here, as I said. The red 10 simple and the yellow 21 exponential moving average both have negative slopes. When both of them have negative slopes, we always get prolonged downside actually. We have never seen both of them have negative slopes and not play out some downside. I should also state as well. Then again, right here, we do have both of them getting negative slopes, but once they're both really, well, no, they both get negative slopes right there. So yes, it's a moot point. I was going to kind of suggest that maybe we've already seen it play out, but no, unlikely. Still, the slope of these guys remains about unchanged as we work our way the whole way down. Anyways, as you can see right now, they are still very much negative. And if we do actually see the red 10 symbol cross the downside of the yellow 21, I would be very, 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 very concerned for price action. That's when I start to think that the $7,000 area that I would be targeting a little bit lower is likely a bounce target, but does it actually hold? That's a whole nother question. Anyways, while we are here, on the higher time frames, what else I want to speak about? Maybe the Trollinger bands on the weekly. I want to offer up. Actually, no, I don't want to talk about this because it's not that relevant, actually. What I can say about the weekly Trollinger bands is, hey, I don't really see like the downtrend emerging and like getting super, super serious until we really break below about that critical level that we just spoke about, 7,800. That is the bottom of the Trollinger band right here. So we do kind of have good confluence there, but not a focal point of this video. Anyways, go to the 2-day and 3-day. 2-day and 3-day are quite interesting right here as well. We're kind of showing like the same areas essentially, but on the 2-day we do see that the 200 exponential moving average is holding up our lows thus far at about 7,800, and just more confluences within that region saying that, hey, it's not really appropriate to be trading for like the next big downside move until we actually break it. It could be. It's a very possible situation that we actually come back down here, base upon 78, go sideways for quite some time, maybe like another couple, 2, 3, 4 months, and then actually work our way upwards and put in a base here. Putting in time here is actually fine as long as Bitcoin doesn't break 7,800. That's completely fine, and and the longer that Bitcoin holds it, without actually breaking that, it starts to morph more and more into accumulation, and then it'd be I'd really flip to a bullish bias and start accumulating myself. For right now, we don't have enough information to really confirm or deny that. We really need to see like another month or two just going sideways within this region, and then and that was actually start to look pretty damn good. So if you do want to be bullish on Bitcoin, I would actually say that one of the best things that could happen right now is just not breaking, just going sideways here. Really, going up and getting rejected really quick is typically a bad sign after the first initial breakdown. So do we see that as well? I mean, that's something that my mentor used to always whisper in my ear. Very, very terrible way to put it, but you get what I mean. Anyway, so momentum oscillators on our higher time frames are actually pointed up right now. 2-day Stokes are up. 3-day Stokes are going to be crossing to the upside as well. I think fresh as of last night, or sorry, the night prior. And again, the red 10 symbol coming in right around that 8650-ish target on the lower time frames. If we do pop back up around there, I do think that it'd probably be a nice little scalp. You can see that the 55 exponential moving average coming in right around about 9,000, agreeing with the weekly 21. So if you do want to use the higher time frames, you could use a 3-day 55 right here as well. I do believe that would be appropriate and probably get things right. If we close back above there, extremely like that, we actually work our way back up to like 10,000. But again, I'm not leaning towards that as long as we're below 8650. It's just not the right thing to be doing as a trader. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but when we're talking about probabilities and talking about trading, that's going to be my disposition. Anyways, we didn't even check out daily Stokes. Daily Stokes is still up right now, looking pretty good here, but are going to be meeting this trend line. It looks like, they are at this trend line right now, and apparently I have this area marked off from a more longer term, probably some sort of a weekly resistance. Anyways, I would be expecting that we have a little bit of a pullback from this region. On that, and if we do, probably going to be met with the rejection of the 21 as well. So we are seeing structure. We're seeing again structure meet up with tentacles. Daily RSI being resilient within this region, but I still need to see it get out of the bearish control zone and preferably out of like the neutral control zone here too. To get some sort of a change of behavior. For right now, it's mostly Bitcoin's mostly been going sideways here. We haven't retraced a significant portion of this massive dump, from top to bottom just yet. Just to put it in perspective, we dumped about 23.5%. We are about 16.5%. So still holding more than half of it, which is actually a little bit of surprise to me. I thought it'd be less. So it does make me a little bit more neutral, I suppose. But Again, that's allowing the oscillator is completely reset here, coming back up into the neutral zone, actually testing the bullish control zone on this next tick, and same thing on RSI, testing the edge of the bearish control zone right here, kind of allowed it to reset, but we haven't really got above any critical areas. So until we see like the RSI get back above the neutral zone and get back above this area right here, I look at this as like a stone wall essentially. Again, doesn't mean it can't fucking break, but until it breaks, it's not my bias at all. Anyways, historical volatility percentile on the daily, still somewhat expanding, but we really need to see it like start expanding now. We really need to start seeing expand, continue to expand like now. As that moving average on it does start to curl up and does start to get a positive slope. So again, it is suggesting that we probably do see some action this week. I would say it's very, very likely that we do see a break this week out of this range, 8650 the upside or 7800 to the downside. I do think, or at the very least, test the downside. We're likely to see some action this week. Is the picture that I want to paint. Anyways, what about the 3-day? Did we check out the 3-day? Not too much else to be aware of on the 3-day. Yes, we do see momentum also just pointed up there. So fair enough. A few points in the bulls court, few points in the bears court. Let's go into some more fundamental things. Let's go check out the Bitcoin VWAP ratio, which is how should we explain it? Well, we can just explain it down here. The VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. In effect, VWAP is an alternative method to realized price in determining average price the market paid for their coins, essentially. So, intuitively it makes a lot of sense. And historically, we can see that there's a pretty, obvious signature on here by a couple different metrics. First and foremost, look at where my cursor is right now and kind of run a regression line through there. And you can see just in a very simple way, whenever we see all three of these different VWAP moving averages above this signal line, essentially, we're in bull market territory. We're trending hard to the upside. And whenever we're below, we are typically going down and prolonged down. And then we can take that one step further. There's also a signature that we want to see on these three different moving averages here as well. In a bull market, we want to see them above where my cursor currently is, which we just spoke about. And then I want to see the blue trending above the purple, trending above the pink. That's what you'd expect to see as that, it's like lower periods above higher periods, right? It just tells you that the trend is to the upside. And you do see that that's basically that is the case during every upwards market in Bitcoin. They are splayed in that attempt and they're above that area. So what are we looking at right now? Well, Bitcoin is actually right at that signal area, which tells me that we're at a major decision point. We're at a decision point deciding that as if whether this area right here is going to be accumulation and we're getting ready to go back onwards to our prior high of like 14,000 and probably beyond, or if we're getting ready to really take that next major step down. Like I said, 6,800, 7,000 going to be the next target to the downside. And, there are targets certainly lower than that at, a little bit below 5,000, I'd say. But what we see right now is we actually do see it a little bit more geared towards the bearish side, I suppose. It's really splitting hairs here because you don't really see these guys like well below this territory like we saw in 2018 right here, or during 2014, 2015 right here, or during this segment right here in 2012. So my point is that it's not, it's not conclusive right now today. But what it is showing us is that we are at that critical moment where, if we actually do break down, it's likely to sustain for quite some time. That's the picture that I want to paint. We have had one time where it's very short-lived right here. But you will notice that the pink never really deviated all that much. Well, the pink's not deviating that much either right now. But this could be a similarity right here. Problem with that is, if you look at this on price action, it doesn't look all that nasty. Well, let's actually do the due diligence for that, because it's this area right here that we're actually referring to, and that's not really fair to say. It's this area right here, right? It doesn't look that bad when you're looking at a long scale, but when you actually measure it down, that's a 76.5% drop down right there. It's not fucking good. To put that in perspective, we have dropped down, I believe, about 40% or 44% now. Yeah, about 44%. If we would extend that to 75%, that'd bring us literally all the way back down to like $3,000 low, $3,500 down here. I mean, technically even lower than that. Again, not suggesting that it has to be a one-to-one thing, but, to put it in a comparable stature, that's kind of what you'd be looking for. Anyways, So that's that's another big thing that I want to keep my eyes on, and we don't have anything conclusive for it today or this week, but we should have more clarity on the situation next week. If we see those guys diverge, and that's the third component, divergence between all of those in the order that we spoke about: blue above pink, blue above purple above pink for bullish, and then opposite for bearish. If we see them start to diverge in one way, that's going to likely be our next big direction for the next big trending move. In this scenario right here, we do still technically see that the blue is above all of them right now. So it would still be a little bit more on the neutral side. We only see the blue go below the purple and the purple below the pink during like very prolonged down markets. And we have gotten down marks before without getting the blue like super below the purple, but they will trend below where my cursor is currently right now. Anyways, let's go check out the Bitcoin difficulty ribbon as well. This is going to speak to the impact of minor selling pressure on Bitcoin price action. This one's actually a more bullish fundamental right now because this ribbon that you're looking at, that's just a bunch of different moving averages on on the difficulty ribbon. When it converges on each other, that's our bear markets, right? So right here converges, right here converges, right here converges. That's your 2012, that's your 2014, that's your 2018. And when it's diverging from each other, when it's splaying out, that's our trending bullish markets right here, right here, right here. And right now you do see that we're actually seeing divergence between these guys. So that would be more on the bullish side as well. It is concerning to me though, because we've not really seen any sort of a signature like this before, where the price action is kind of really sustaining some downside, whereas the difficulty ribbon is still diverging away from each other. That is concerning to me, but that would be more on the bullish side. So I am curious to see that when followed up. And really the picture that I'm trying to paint here is that it's not super conclusive, which tells me it's likely something like this. Is there a legitimate chance of downside? Yes, absolutely. And I would be leaning towards it, especially as long as below 8650. But I'm not necessarily certain that these super bears are going to be right with thinking that Bitcoin comes like super far down. Yes, if $7,000 or $6,800 does break, maybe 6,400 or 4,800 would be my next target. But I do think that there's a legitimate possibility that we actually could bottom out at a higher level, like a $7,000 level. I actually do think that it's a strong possibility. I mean, shit, man, we could bottom out here, but I don't think that it's appropriate to say that right now. I think maybe if we went sideways here for like the next few weeks or next few months, we'd probably, I'd probably say that we're bottoming out here, but we don't have the information right now. Anyways, okay, cool. Also, onto the point of that $7,000 level. I've been speaking about this for a while, but might as well just follow up again. We do see the monthly chart showing a lot of major moving averages come in this region. We see the red 10 symbol, the yellow 21, actually having a bullish cross above this region, both of them coming in right around about $7,000. And the last time that we had this cross, we actually did dump into it, which is a good thing and does add validity to the cross back on over here in April 2016 before marching its way onwards to $20,000 price per Bitcoin. Anyways, you can see on Bitcoin, right now that that while it is a generally good thing, it's still significantly lower. That's just the deal with bigger numbers, right? We're dealing with fucking big numbers right now, and monthly stocks are still very much pointed to the upside. Monthly Jewel is kind of at resistance a little bit, but that's not a signal at all. Monthly RSI is floaty here. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I mean, technically we're below the exponential on it, but it doesn't really look conclusive to me either which way. So again, kind of have to a little bit more of a coin toss. And of course we put on the Trollinger bands. This is a confirmed rejection off the top Trollinger band with the way that we broke down last month. And typically after that, you are going to test the probabilities of testing your median band is very, very high. And that's coming in right around, 6,800 right here. So it's another thing kind of suggesting that region. And also, if you're wondering where I'm getting that, those lower targets from, if the $7,000 region breaks from a monthly perspective, there's nothing holding you up until really like $5,000. So it could get a lot nastier if that were to give way. So I don't want to see that necessarily happen. The problem with the monthly is that just overall it doesn't it's not like the picture of health right now is what it looks like. And more importantly to that, not more importantly to that, this is not important, but I think that this is just a fun thing to look at. I don't put that much weight on this to be 100% clear. But we do see 3 red months in a row. We've actually never seen 3 red months in a row in an upwards market. We've only seen more than three or more months red in a row during downwards markets. So here, and that's basically it. That's basically it. So yeah, just another thing saying that we're kind of doing something different. So let's actually expand that a little bit more. What is suggesting that we have a change of behavior in Bitcoin? A lot of people think that we're just going to like V bottom out of here and just go straight back onto 10,000, which, like I said, is it possible? Yes, but as long as below 8650, I'm not really looking towards it. We have a lot of changes behavior on Bitcoin with that last big drop off that make me concerned. Longer term, well, not make me concerned. As a trader, we shouldn't really care about direction. We should only care about trading, really. But looking at the 12-hour right here, we actually do see some pretty nasty things, right? We do see the 12-hour death cross, which is the green and the purple. That's 50 and the 200. Which, let me just get everything off except for these guys right here. And we got the death cross on them on that first major drop down in late September. These aren't like super precise where they cross, but they do get the momentum very, very well, and they get the momentum well for a long period of time. Historically speaking, the last golden cross that we had was this move on April 1st. The death cross before that took us all the way from basically February 2018. Again, not timed well, but got the momentum well, all the way to April of the next year. I mean, quite literally more than a year of basically getting the whole trend right. Before that, we got a golden cross all the way back in, here it was October 15th, and that played out the whole way fucking through that whole bull run. Before that, we did have a little bit of a one-off right here. On the golden cross, but again, your first cross after a prolonged down market is still going to likely to get faded. But you can see the point here is that the downwards crosses do take their time with playing out. They don't just typically get like a one-off. Well, you do see a little bit of a one-off right here, I suppose. But again, that's actually not really fair to say. That's a 77% drop down. I shouldn't say that. No, that's a pretty significant move. That's pretty significant. Anyways, we've never so again, that would put me on the side of the bears here. Not only that, but if we go over here to the daily and we look at the 200 simple and the 200 exponential moving average, we've only seen these guys cross a few times in the history of Bitcoin as well. Again, looking at the purple 200 exponential and the white 200 simple, which have actually officially, yes, they're going to officially confirm the cross tonight. And when the purple is trending above the white, we're typically in an upwards market. You can see that it actually got this move on April 1st, 2019 perfectly well, funnily enough. During 2018, when we saw the white get above the purple right here, that was when Bitcoin was really wrangled down and just suffocated in the 6,000 range. Just driving the trend further and further down, longer term. Of course, it doesn't like have an immediate, snap of the fingers effect right there, but it does drive it down longer term. And then same thing for the upside coming in from the last prior bull market. We got the purple trending above the white, actually significantly before the actual momentum was gained to the upside, but the lows were put in before then, so that's what matters most. And then same thing, going backwards and forwards. It's not super precise, but just another thing saying that, hey, we have a change in behavior here, and this is concerning, from a technical analysis standpoint. Not only that, but what was the other thing that I wanted to look at? Was it the 2-day? Yeah, was it the 2-day or the 3-day? Something doesn't look right here. Hold on. Let me put on the cyan 89 exponential moving average. Let's see. Yeah, something doesn't look. Oh, okay. Yeah. This is it. Okay. Let's take everything else off. 3-day. Right here, the green 55 exponential moving average. We've never broken below this in a bull market. Same thing as a weekly 21. What have we done thus far? We've broken below it, and we've actually rejected from it. On that last test up to 8,800. Again, this area right here, very, very critical. I'd even collapse it a little bit more to 8,650. As long as we're below there, it's pressure down. What else do we have? Let's see. There was something. Oh yes, the weekly RSI. Weekly RSI has completely shattered the area that we typically hold during a bullish market. So if we go back on over here to the last bull market right here, you can see the signature on the weekly RSI always holding above and putting in these bullish dumps right around where my cursor currently is right now at about the 53 marker. And that's where, we'd have these massive moves down, but they'd always get picked up. Anyways, Bitcoin thus far, for the people who think that we're going to get something like this, we completely just shattered that region where my cursor currently would be, all the way down to test the edge of the bearish control zone. Yes, we bounced off it on the first pass, which is very fucking likely, but the next move into it is not is not, to put it lightly. We'd likely get comfortable within it. And what's the other one? I think that's probably it for now. Oh yeah, we could talk about this as well. I'm not going to put on like my super special settings for this, not really necessary, but we'll put on the DMI. And on the 3-day, this is quite concerning as well. We do see the DMI minus is dominant right here, and we've only seen the DMI minus dominant very few times actually in Bitcoin's history, and it's always during like these pretty nasty down movements. And we've actually seen all of the bear markets precipitated with the DMI minus being dominant plus the ADX strengthening at the same time. Now you'll notice that the ADX is actually not strengthening right now, but the DMI minus is dominant, and I would imagine that if we get any sort of a leg down, this is going to spruce back up, and that would be a very similar signature to what we saw during this past bear market right here. You see the DMI minus getting dominant right here, ADX strengthening at the same time. Boom, we see it at the high of 2018. DMI minus gets dominant right here, so ADX starts to strengthen, and then we actually get the massive blow off to the downside right here, about a year later in November. But same sort of signature is what I'm suggesting. So again, this is concerning to me. I don't you don't really want to see that. You don't really want to see that historically speaking. Of course, could Bitcoin undo it? Could Bitcoin buck the trend here? Could, I suppose, but that's just not what we really have, not what we've really seen from a historical standpoint. As I check on over on the times, okay, beautiful. Let's see, what about 3-day Jewel? In a little bit more of a bouncy bounce territory right here, but we are in an overall bearish posturing, so I would be looking for resistance if it does come back around this region right here. But again, the real sell signals on this were one at 12,000, and then again at about 10. What is this? 10.4, 10.5. Yeah, and that's kind of what made me bearish right here. When we got the continuation sell signal plus breaking 10.3, that was when I had to let go of my bullish hopium delusion, unfortunately. But again, for right now, does actually suggest a little bit of a bouncy bounce, or at least we want to see that also to get up there and then probably reject it again. What else do we want to look at? Let's go look at the other top shitcoins. But actually, before we get into that, let's go look at Bitcoin dominance and then the total market cap. I want to see both of these guys and see if they agree with what we're looking at. Let's throw back on all of the major moving averages. Not as important for Bitcoin dominance chart, but just to have. What do we see here on a daily? Does to me look like it's getting picked up here. It is filling out this falling pizza quite well. I'd have to be short term bullish on Bitcoin dominance right here, probably popping back up to 69.5. So that means I'm going to be a little bit short term bearish on altcoins versus Satoshi. Let's see if Cardano agrees with that. That's kind of what I felt yesterday. What I feel that way today. We just popped back up and tested this resistance area right here. To me, most likely to reject it. Daily Stokes pointed down. Daily RSI. Looks under pressure to me. I'd have to be biased to the downside. As long as we're below about 500 Satoshis, I'd be looking for this thing to come back down to about 460, and then we'll reassess after that. So yeah, I actually do think down, on this one. Let's go see another altcoin just to compare. What about Mr. B-roll versus Bitcoin? Yeah, it looks down to me as well. We did hit our upside target right around 0.023. It looks like, but to me it looks like this one wants to come back down and fill out the space down here towards actually 0.0206 perhaps. Or at the very least back down here to 0.2122526, something like that. So yeah, it does agree. What about Mrs. Litecoin? What's she doing versus Satoshi's? Same thing, getting rejected by the 21 as of right now, probably back down to low side of the range, 0.661. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance chart short term, I would be bullish on it, which means I'm going to be short term bearish on most alt versus Satoshi's, but I'm not calling I wouldn't get super bullish on I wouldn't get super bullish on the Bitcoin dominance chart unless if Bitcoin really breaks above like 68.50. At that point, I'd imagine that we actually do break this falling piece to the upside. We probably find our way back up to like this above 70%, which is gonna demolish a lot of vaults. Actually, it's not a laughing matter. Actually, it's very serious. Sorry. But again, looking at the weekly, it looks to me kind of like we want to bounce right here. Or can we bring it up? Maybe. That would be better. Yeah, it looks to me like we want to bounce right here. And it actually kind of bounced target maybe back up to the 10 simple at 70.5%. So perhaps we actually do see that move. That would be more on the more on the bull side, I suppose. Anyways, Let's go check out the total market cap. I want to see what that one's doing right now as well. I haven't checked that in quite some time, and I suppose because it is weekly and there really haven't been too much else to talk about, might as well talk about this. Looking at the total, as long as we're below the 55 on a weekly closing basis, nothing to be bullish about. Still just rejection right there. Daily, daily still. I was about to say daily looks corrective. I don't think I can say one or the other. We are going to get a death cross on the daily, on the daily total market cap relatively soon, though, assuming that Bitcoin can't get back above the 225 billion marker. So as long, the longer that we're below there, the worse it looks. And from a moving average perspective, this is worse than spot charts. So the total market, the total market not looking as good, even though I don't really care as much about the total market cap. But again, the levels that matter most are still very much in there, still very much the same. Line up with that 78.50 area to the downside and to the upside about 86.50. This one would look more on the bear side to me. I'm curious what momentum offset is suggesting. Weekly Stokes looking like they kind of want to rebound here a little bit. Daily are up as well, so yeah, probably do see a little bit of fall through here. Anyways, let's go check out this. Let's go check out. I want to check out the top shitcoins right now, Mr. Beaterall and Mrs. Litecoin of note. And what's Mr. Beaterall doing? Another tough one right here. Another tough one right here. Technically, I'd have to say that I'd be looking for a move back to 190 region. We did see a nice move down yesterday, but that didn't really get any follow through. It's creating a rising channel right here, right? But it's the same range as Bitcoin essentially. This would be akin to your 8650-ish region, 193.5. To the downside, I'd be looking right here, right around 167.5. Same thing for Mr. Beaterall. I'd be leaning towards the bear side here because it's a downtrend, but hey, if we can close this weekly, maybe above. If we can close this weekly later tonight above 188, I'd probably look for another test back up to like the low $200 region at the very least. What about Mrs. Litecoin? Mrs. Litecoin is of particular interest right here as well. You can see that we're straddling the white 200 moving average right now. If we do close below there, I would certainly be a lot more biased to the downside. And technically, the next major target for something like Mrs. Litecoin is going to be like $45. If we do close above the 200 simple, I'd be looking for a test back up to about 62.5, 62 and a quarter right here, and perhaps continuation on top of that. That would start to look a little bit better. Looking at a daily right here, what do we see? Still a downtrend, man. It's still a downtrend. Daily still up. To be fair, daily RSI is holding the exponential, so there is a little bit of hope. But as long as we're below, 59.5 bucks, it's really difficult to get excited about something like this. What about the other? What about some of the other top shitcoins? Stellar. Kind of actually creating a nice ascending triangle right now. Looks actually like it wants to make a move back up here towards what is this? Oh, this is versus Satoshi's. That's not fair. Versus dollar 6.3 cent. Monero. What is Monero doing? Monero on lows once again. Maybe it's putting a little bit of a local low right now. I'm not so sure about that. Looks very pathetic. Weekly does not look good. I would have to say that this one's more on the bear side. 27.8 cent for Ripple. If we close Ripple above 27 cent, I'd actually be looking for another test back up to like 30 cent almost, or maybe 29.5 to 30 cent region. If we close below on the weekly 26.85, I'd be biased downside. This one's actually looking a little bit more up to me. In fact, funnily enough, interesting. Again, everything is marks likely to move together. So it's if when I have different opinions on these different coins, I'm not trying to say that like one's bullish and the other one's not. They're most likely going to move in the same direction. It's just if we find that most of them are bullish or most of them are bearish, then that's probably the more likely direction, right? Anyways, what's EOS doing? EOS, I mean, still a downtrend. It looks the exact same as what we just looked at. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I'd have to be bearish on it, more than anything. But could we rebound a little bit higher here? Maybe test back up to like 875 on Neo. Maybe. This is not a good chart though, by any stretch of the imagination. Tron, no, no. As long as below the weekly 10 simple. Bcash, another no. It's a no from me, dog. Again, could it pump back up to 237? Yeah, but that doesn't change anything. It's a problem. Zcash, kind of making a descending triangle on the lows. I mean, this one's got to be the weakest one, I suppose. Anyways, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show. Again, to kind of wrap up the lower time frames, does look to me like on the lower time frames we want to work our way back up to about 8600, maybe 8650. That would put us at the critical region for the daily. You know, if we could close back above this region right here, which is actually maybe a little bit more like 8700. But 8650 to 8700, if we could get back above there, I would get bullish from moving to the low 9000s. You know, somewhere right around here, 93, give or take like $100. By the same token, you know, as long as we're below 8650, I'm biased to the downside. I think that we can get back up there on the lower time frame and still reject from there and still, you know, fill at the downside of the range. Longer term, if Bitcoin just goes sideways here, I would actually, if Bitcoin went sideways for like months here, I would say that that's actually quite, that would actually be interpreted as bullish and constructive. But it's kind of like just a game of time right now. And of course, for the downside, while I am biased to the downside, I don't really look for that next major leg to the downside until we actually break below the 3.7 cent exponential moving average right here. Until that happens, not really appropriate in my opinion. So for myself, I haven't even talked about my positions. The reason why is because I don't really have any. I have no open exposure right now. I'm all hedged off and just kind of watching price action because I don't really see like a huge. You know, if I was going to take a trade right here, I'd actually take a long. But I don't really want to play the $200 move when really the next $2,000 move is the one that's on the table. And historical volatility percentile does suggest that we actually probably do see this emerge this week. I think it's quite likely. Anyways, so with that said, I would like to wish you the best of the best. Also the happiest of the happiest on this nice Sunday. What is it? It is Sunday. It's Sunday, right? Yeah, it's Sunday. It's October 13th. Holy shit, man. Why is 13 a bad number? Why is everyone like, why are there no fucking 13s in a hotel? That's so strange, man. That is so fucking strange. Anyways, I think 13 is a phenomenal number. I'm going to be signing off right now. I'd like to wish you well as always. Take care and see you soon.